It wouldn't be on the
No,
radio.
come here.
No
I would
harm
say,
to the young
I
lad.
would say now you're the kind of man. Let me look at you. Yeah, you like it yolky.
Oh, I don't understand your fascination with eggs.
No, but it's just in the news today about the Gen Z. They're saying that they can eat raw eggs and put raw eggs into
Well, we
their
used
coffee.
to do that
stirred up.
when we were kids. Well, yeah, we used to do that. Do you remember Rocky, the film Rocky?
Yeah.
Well,
you got all
the original Rocky, he used to drink raw eggs. Oof. So we'd drink raw eggs. Like we'd go into the house and steal eggs and neck them because we thought we'd be like Rocky.
Big
was
muscly-
it Rocky or was it?
No, it was for Rocky. It would have been
What was
Rocky.
Rocky? It wasn't
Yeah.
the other one with the knife.
Oh, Van Damme, is
Yeah,
it?
because back then too, you could get no.
What is it?
Come on, the name of those
That
films.
with the knife? Oh, Rambo.
Rambo,
no.
yeah.
Was it Rambo?
Yeah, because you used to be. This sounds crazy saying this now, but you used to be able to get the knives, right? And it had the
Right.
compass at the top, and you unscrewed the compass.
Oh, yeah.
And there was
Yeah.
matches inside,
Right.
and a needle and thread.
I would say you'd be handy with a
No,
needle.
just in
for it.
case you cut your leg on the barbed wire, you could sew yourself up.
No. Well,
That
no.
was the notion of it.
That was, well, probably saved people back in.
No, don't be silly. It was a silly film.
But you did do but you wouldn't do it now, would you?
Eggs. It could be the
Protein.
first thing I eat on a breakfast, or I won't eat it, or I'll leave it till last. I don't care. Soft, hard.
You'll eat it anyway. Caroline likes her yolk.
Egg and onion sandwich.
Hard as a rock.
Egg
She'll
and
not
onion
go near
sandwich
it.
is lovely. Can't beat
Are you
egg and
listening
onion
to me?
sandwich. Yep.
Caroline will not touch her yolk of the egg if it's runny. It has to be hard.
Okay.
Like a fried egg. Imagine that. I hate it when it's fried. I like it yolky and you can dip your chips in it. Yum yum.
Either or. It's a.
It's
to
a
be honest
personal
with you,
thing,
It's a food stuff I could do without. Scrambled eggs, lovely. Omelets. It depends on your mood.
Okay. Moody
Textures.
boy.
It's all down to textures.
But you don't eat breakfast anyway.
On a Sunday, you know yourself. Or anyway, what's that piece of paper for?
Well, should this was.
Is there something you have to read? No.
No, it's okay.
Is it the answer to the secret sound?
Yes, do you want it?
No.
Here, look.
No, the last thing I
There.
want's the secret
That's
sound.
Get away with you. You're not getting
Good
it.
luck. It's a minute past 9. Let's get a news update from Ryan. Good morning, Ryan.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The two young men who died in a crash at St Johnstone have been named locally. Daniel Cullen and Kevin Porter McClune were both 18 and from the Shantallow area of Derry. They were both passengers in a car that collided with a lorry. A third young man was taken to hospital in Belfast with serious injuries. Road users who were travelling in the area between 10:45pm and 11:45pm and have camera footage, including dashcam footage, are asked to make it available to assist with the Gardaí investigation. A new cross-border poll from Lucid Talk has found that 68% of respondents in the Northwest think West Derry, West Tyrone and Donegal should become one economic sub-region. The poll's findings were revealed by community relations charity Holywell Trust. It also found an overwhelming majority of respondents thought cross-border integration on issues such as health and travel will be beneficial for the region. Local councillor Jack Murray says the findings make perfect sense.
Yeah, well, I think what this poll has told us really what we already know, that for those of us that live in the northwest of Ireland, Donegal, Tyrone, Derry, the border is merely a line on a map. For us, it's our lived reality. No more cross-border region in Ireland has as much movement over and back for employment, for social purposes, for shopping. So to me, it makes perfect sense that we'd be treated as one economic region.
A man in Scotland is the second person to have been arrested on suspicion of the murder of Lisa Dorian. This follows a woman being arrested yesterday in Bangor. It has been 21 years since the disappearance of Lisa, who was last seen alive at a party at a caravan park in Ballyhalbert. Her body has never been found. Police in Derry have advised road users that the Racecourse Road in Shantallow is currently closed due to a fire. The road is not accessible as a result, and people are asked to seek an alternative route. Only the idiots responsible should be punished for damage to League of Ireland pitches. That is the attitude of the Junior Sports Minister, who has criticised the Sports Minister Patrick O'Donovan for suggesting collective punishment for the problem. The issue has been raised after damage was caused to the playing surface at Oriel Park, home of Dundalk FC, during their game against Drogheda United on Friday last. Minister Charlie McConlogue says a blanket approach to something like this won't work.
We'll make sure that those who are responsible are the ones that pay the price here, and indeed that those who act responsibly are not affected by the actions of idiots and acting totally irresponsibly and putting everybody else's safety in danger.
And the weather, cloudy with rain from the west becoming widespread through the morning. Isolated showers and brighter spells will develop through the afternoon. Highest temperatures of 9 to 10 degrees. Breezy with moderate to fresh southerly winds, strong at times on the coast. That was all from the newsroom for now. We'll be back again with news in full at 10 o'clock.
Let's begin by placing a piece of gum in your mouth. Now chew. You're in a beautiful meadow. You consider frolicking. You've never considered frolicking before in your life, or even said the word frolic. Chew. You give it a try anyway. Chew. Frolic. Frolic. Chew. Chew. Frolic. Chewing while frolicking is kind of your thing now. Extra gum. Chew good.
The talk of the Northwest. The Greg Hughes Show on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning to you. 9:04 this Thursday, the 26th of February, and you're very welcome along to another edition of the Greg Hughes Show here on your number one radio station. It's Highland Radio. Thanks so much for joining us. Hopefully now you're with us for the next couple of hours in this programme throughout the day here on Highland Radio. We've got lots coming up, as you can imagine. We're going to keep you up to date with everything that's important. We're going to platform your views, and we want them into us on 086 60 25,000. That's your WhatsApp and your text numbers. Your 0749125 number gets you 25,000 number gets you through to us on the telephone, or you can email comments at highlandradio.com. Let's have a look at some of the papers for this Thursday morning. The Trecarthen Tribune, one of the board of directors of Swilly Mulroy Credit Union, resigned on Monday night, saying the proposed amalgamation with Letterkenny CU should be a decision for the 4,500 membership and not the central bank, and for that reason he could no longer serve the community in which he resides. Brian McGarvey said his understanding was that the amalgamation decision would give consideration for the members in the Common Bond area to vote, and the directors would send the result to the central bank. He said this week's decision to recommend the amalgamation to the central bank is wrong because it's a done deal and it excludes the members who are the very foundation and the reason there are credit unions around Ireland. This news was not unexpected ever since news of the Swilly Mulroy amalgamation with another credit union emerged at the beginning of the year. An interesting story from John McAteer there, which we might try and tease out further ourselves. The Derry People Donegal News, the close-knit community of St Johnston gathered in St Baithan's Church last night for a special mass honouring the two teenagers who lost their lives in Tuesday night's fatal collision. Daniel Cullen and Kevin Porter died in the collision involving a car and a lorry on the R236 in the village at around 11:15 p.m. The victims were aged in their late teens, 19 in fact, and understood to be from Derry, and they tragically died in the fatal collision. A third occupant of that vehicle remains in hospital in Belfast. The Derry News this morning, a devastating funding blow means Enoch Youth Forum will be forced to reduce the level of youth service provision across Strathfoyle. It seems almost weekly on the front of the paper, this paper in particular, there's talk of another funding cut to a community service. It almost, as I say, seems weekly. Speaking to the Derry News, Anne Gormley, EYF's chairperson, said the reduction would be effective from April 2026. On Friday, EYF received the very difficult news our recent funding application to the National Lottery Community Fund's Stronger Futures programme had been unsuccessful. On to the Nationals now, and I wonder if this story affects you, and I'm sorry if it does, the significance of it or not to you. I don't know, but maybe you can give us an understanding. Those who had their childhoods ruined by unforgivable abuse in industrial and reformatory schools have received an unequivocal apology on behalf of the state from Taoiseach Micheál Martin. In the fourth such state apology since 1999 to survivors of abuse in institutions, Martin told four who were sitting in the Dole chamber, it must be four people that were sitting in the chamber yesterday, that he was very sorry for what was done to you. I apologise in behalf of the state for the abuse and neglect that you suffered. What happened to you was wrong, shocking, and should never have happened, Martin said. The apology was the direct result of a campaign by four survivors who undertook a 51-day hunger strike outside Leinster House last year. Mary Donovan, Mary Dunleavy Green, Miriam Moriarty Owens and Morris Patton O'Connell, all survivors of industrial schools, raised concerns about the adequacy of state support for survivors of abuse, which were announced in 2023. So as I say, If that story affects you, do you welcome the apology? Is it too little, too late? Is it enough? I really don't know. But if you can give us an insight and you want to, then please feel free to contact us. Reading in the Irish Independent, and this is accompanying the story of the thousands that protested on the streets right across the country. SNA seeking security for their jobs, parents seeking some certainty as to whether or not they would have an SNA for their children. But anyway, hundreds of children could be denied a school place in special classrooms from September, as the level of demand has far exceeded expectations. There is concern among some government TDs that this will cause a political controversy that will overshadow recent issues surrounding special needs assistance. The Taoiseach told the Dáil that the number of applications for the September school year was increasing exponentially and is over and above anything contemplated. He said the data available is challenging and would not say if he could guarantee that all children will get a school place as per their constitutional right. He was responding to claims from Labour Education spokesperson Owen Kenny that the high level of applications submitted for the next academic year means an additional 600 special classes will be needed in September again. What is driving this massive demand for special classes? Funding wasn't made available in the budget for an additional 400 special classes, meaning the system is on course to be 200 classrooms short of what's needed. And there are 4 to 6 pupils in each special class, meaning between 800 and 1,000 children could be told they will not get a place. The Department of Education did not confirm the figure of 600 classes being required for next year. On to the Irish Independent and big changes in the rental market, as you might know. The country's largest corporate landlords the country's largest corporate landlord has predicted that its rental income will increase by 25% as a result of new rental laws coming into effect on Sunday. Now, I'm not saying they don't benefit your average renter, rental security, etc. But when you get the biggest corporate landlord saying that their income is going to increase by 25%, it would make you wonder who these rules are actually going to benefit. The sweeping changes will allow landlords to reset rents to market levels between tenancies. In a presentation to potential investors ahead of the changes coming into effect this weekend, CEO of Irish Residential Properties, Eddie Byrne, said the outlook is positive with the new regulations, and predicted rental income will increase by 25%. So this is the biggest corporate landlord in the country telling investors, invest in my company because thanks to these new government rules, our income's going to increase by 25%. Now, make of that what you will. It doesn't feel good, but anyway. The Irish Farmers Journal: anger is rife among export mart managers and farmers over the continued ban on live exports of breeding stock and store cattle to Northern Ireland. The ban, a result of Blue Tongue Movement restrictions, is forcing marts in the West to cancel breeding heifer sales, causing exporters to lose a significant chunk of their weekly business and leaving farmers in Northern Ireland high and dry for stock. Business for Sligo-based exporter Kieran Burke has been significantly disrupted since the cross-border movement restrictions came into play almost 6 weeks ago. 2/3 of Burke's work is currently at a standstill. He's had to let an employee go and is fielding a number of calls daily from Northern Ireland farmers looking for stock. How long will that run on for, I wonder? And a former US soldier has been charged with the murder of Michael Gain. Michael Kelly, 54, sat silently as Tralee District Court heard. He is accused of killing the popular Kerry native, 56, at his farm outside Kenmare last year. Kelly was remanded in custody following a 4-minute hearing to appear again next Wednesday. The accused had been held and questioned in a series of interviews at a Garda station following his arrest at 7:40am in Tralee yesterday morning, or Tuesday morning in fact. Shortly before 3pm on Wednesday, Garda headquarters confirmed that he was to appear before court. As the news emerged, dozens of people gathered around the vicinity of the Tralee courthouse waiting for Kelly's arrival, and he pulled up at 4:26 in a marked Garda van flanked by 2 unmarked jeeps and a car. So that is And a story that is, of course, of great interest, and it rumbles on. Now, before we go to our first break and then welcome our first guest on the show, I want to let you know that the Donegal Vintage Classic Car and Heritage Club, in conjunction with Blue Stack Special Needs Foundation, they're hosting a vintage car show on Sunday, the 8th of March. So that's Sunday week, isn't it? It's at Harold's Yard, Glenfin Road, Ballybofey. That's about a kilometre past Jackson's Hotel. And it runs from 12 p.m., that's 12 noon, to 5 p.m. So there'll be cars, tractors, static engines, auto jumble, and all other classic and vintage machinery. That's going to be welcome as well if you want to turn up with it. A cake sale, tea, coffee, refreshments, crafts and raffles. A fun day out for all the family. So mark that down in your calendar. It is the 8th of March. It's about a kilometre out past Jackson's, out of Ballybofey, and it's a vintage car show. But it's not just cars; it's all manner of things, and they are hugely popular. For people who want to show off their stuff that they've put their pride and time into, but also those who love to just walk around lovely old cars. And I think most of us do enjoy that at some level or other. Just to remind you, you can watch the programme as you can every single day. If you want to watch on YouTube, you go to Highland Radio Ireland. So that means you can watch on your smart TV, your Fire Stick, or across your mobile devices. And we're on Facebook too. Highland Radio has a few Facebook pages, so just search us and you'll see us right there. Okay, our first guest join us in a moment. If you want to contact the show,
The Greg Hughes Show on Highland Radio. Text WhatsApp 086 60 25000. Call 074 91 25000 or email comments at highlandradio.com.
Newspapers are kindly supplied by Cosgrove Centra, Mountaintop Letterkenny. Now with the new look Mountaintop Diner.
Declan Doherty's Donegal is a major retrospective at the Regional Cultural Centre Letterkenny, showing over 400 photographs from 1980 to 2023. Curated by Sean Hannigan, the exhibition documents everyday life, people and places across Donegal, highlighting photographer Declan Doherty's role as a leading chronicler of life in Donegal over 40 years. Free admission until March 14th.
261 has arrived, and there's never been a better time to order your new Kia at Heron Auto Donegal Town. With 5 brand new Kia models arriving. With smart design, a 7-year warranty and finance starting from 0%, Kia delivers style, comfort and performance you can rely on. Visit Heron Auto Donegal Town. Secure your 261 Kia today. Drive with confidence. Drive with Heron Auto.
The Hillary's sale ends soon, so get window-wise and grab these amazing offers while you still can, like up to 50% off hundreds of made-to-measure blinds, curtains and shutters. Plus, grab €50 off your electric blind order and conveniently control your blinds for less. And don't forget, with Hillary's, measuring and fitting is always included. So get window-wise and book your free in-home appointment today at hillarys.ie. But hurry, the Hillary's sale ends on the 9th of March. Conditions apply.
See our new range of comfortable storage beds now on display at Restex Beds Mountaintop Letterkenny. Combine luxury and comfort with clever hidden storage and free delivery and assembly on all our products. Restex Beds. Leave the rest to us.
Anger over live export ban. For more in your Irish Farmers Journal, here's our editor, Adam Woods.
We reveal how Blue Tongue export ban is disrupting cattle sales and the mart trade. Minister vows to pay farmers for re-wetting. IFA to escalate Borbia protest. Factories concerned over sheep supply. Everything you need to know about buying calves as prices surge. Plus key advice on the Fair Deal scheme and how it impacts your family home.
For all this and more, pick up the Irish Farmers Journal today or subscribe online.
Local Enterprise Week is back, and the theme for 2026 is Built on Belief. It runs from Monday the 2nd to Friday the 6th of March, with over 22 events taking place across Donegal to inspire if you're starting, growing or scaling a business. Local Enterprise Week is organised by Local Enterprise Office Donegal in association with Enterprise Partners. Events are free to attend, but booking is essential. Visit localenterprise.ie/Donegal or call 91 607 35.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
The time now is 18 minutes past 9. Now, as you would be aware, we're all still coming to terms with the awful tragedy in the St. Johnston area. 2 young men, 19 years of age, very sadly lost their lives. A third remains in hospital. And there's never a good time to talk about road safety, especially in this county, as we've so many instances, it would seem. But we must in this case, because locals in the St. Johnston area have been warning of dangers for quite some time. Donna Marie Reynolds is a concerned member of the St. Johnston community and has had a petition running in relation to safety here. Hi, Donna Marie. Thanks for your time.
Good morning, Greg. And first of all, I'd like to express my sympathy and my heart goes out to all the families that are affected by the recent tragedy. I just couldn't believe it when I woke up yesterday morning to hear the news that there'd been another accident on that stretch of road. So first of all, I'd like to just say that, and that the community here, it's such a small community, that we're all devastated in hearing the news. So I started the petition yesterday just to raise concerns again, because I know the community have worked tirelessly before to highlight the dangers of this road. And to my knowledge, there's been at least 7 deaths or more on this stretch of road over the years, Greg. So there's been numerous incidences that have occurred, and a lot of them as well haven't been reported because the wall has been rebuilt several times and edgings, and pedestrians have lost their lives as well. So it's just there's been repeated accidents and it's not an isolated issue. So I really just feel that something needs to be done, and hopefully decision makers, if anyone's listening, that they will address the issues and put in some traffic calming measures, speed ramps, improve the signage, and widen those dangerous bends on the road, especially there just before Larkins on the bend of the road there. There's been just numerous occasions of incidences, and also just about 100 metres away on the turn there before Buncrana and Newton Cunningham, there's been a fatality there as well, only just a few years ago. So so it would be great if people, just to encourage people to sign the petition, and hopefully decision makers will listen and something will be done about it.
Obviously, the investigative process in relation to the latest collision is ongoing. God of Forensics will have to determine what caused it. There are a number of factors that can be contributing factors to a road traffic collision. So we can't really talk of the most recent incident. But why is this particular road? What is it about it that lends itself to this dangerous reputation, Donna Marie?
Yeah, well, there's numerous sharp bends on the road, and especially near Larkins there, there's one area that's quite tight, and we get a lot of lorries on the road, and even myself on that part of the road, I have tipped off, at the side there, because there's a footpath there too, which is extremely dangerous, to be honest with you, there too, and it's just really dangerous. There's a few areas there now where cars have gone in, and I'd say I was talking to locals there, and at least a dozen accidents a year happen there, incidents happen a year there, and not all of them are reported, so they're not, the people are okay, they get their cars fixed or whatever, and the wall gets rebuilt, but so there's a few areas there, and especially there's hedges as well that probably would need to be removed as well in some areas as well, especially that turn to Newton Cunningham and Buncrana. It's a very dangerous turn there, and even further up as well, there's an area with trees and a house there where cars have got into the wall several times on the bend towards St. Johnson there as well. So there's actually a few parts of the road there that really need to be looked at and are very dangerous. And it's really dangerous for people because there's very few places to walk as well, and there's a stretch of footpath there that people walk past the church and that, and past the rectory there on the main road before the garage, and it's very dangerous. It's really not a safe footpath, for people to be walking on as well.
Where is the petition, Donna? Where's the petition available?
So it's on change.org, and it is Yeah, it's on change.org, and it's install ramps and signage on R236. I've just sent it there to Highland Radio
Okay,
as
we'll
well
share it
there,
out,
so
yeah.
people could link on it and click and sign it. That would be great. So I really just felt that something needed to be done. As I said, there has been Mary Crossan and the Management Board and the Resource Centre have done tireless work in the past to highlight the issue, and they were told that a pedestrian crossing and traffic lights would be installed at the end of the town there in St Johnstone, but unfortunately it never came to fruition. And so
No,
I
I've
just
been
really feel
it's
sometimes
been-
these towns are forgotten about.
Well, of course,
you know?
but we've discussed this
Yeah.
particular issue on this programme on numerous occasions, and it's not exclusive to the St Johnstone area. There are a number of hotspots, and there's always need for surveys. The TII might be involved. It's over here, it's over there, and at the end of the day, nothing gets done. All right, Donna Marie Reynolds, thank you. Donna Marie rightly pointing out that this has been on the agenda for quite some time. Alec, I know you've certainly been aware of the dangers and trying to get them addressed for a long time now.
Yes, I agree 100% with Donna. The Karen suggested that Resource Centre has been petitioning the council for 10 years, over 10 years, to get something done with that corner. That wall has been knocked down 3 times in 1 year. Now, you're approaching that bend, that you have a curb there, especially lorries. The bend's too sharp, the lorries has to go up on the footpath to get around that corner. If they don't, they're on the wrong side of the road. If a car's coming down there speeding, if the back wheel hits that curb, it turns around, straight into the wall, or there's a car coming, as a head-on smash. Now, I'm very angry because I've been listening to people come out and say, this is a tragedy, this never should have happened. For 10 years, more than 10 years, we were staying at the council to get something done with it. So it didn't come as a surprise. Unfortunately for the people that were killed, I'm sorry, and I feel sad for the parents that this was going to happen.
You know, when we talk about other really bad stretches of roads, you know, like say for instance the A5, and we all know how dangerous that is, and it is a massive project to increase safety on that road. You know, hundreds of millions and years, and the thing about St Johnstone and other towns where people have similar concerns, we're actually really talking more about a will and the desire to do it, because the money involved is chicken feed really compared to some of the safety works we talk about. It would not have taken an awful lot, Alex, to sort of implement some of these safety measures that locals have been calling for.
No, and it would not. The fact, the only time you see councillors as come up to elections. I don't know what they're doing up in Lifford. They've been told about this numerous times and nothing's been done about it. And it's sad when somebody loses their life.
I will say, just in relation to the councillors, they can make representatives, but these are executive decisions. Sometimes it's the responsibility of the council executive, the roads office. Sometimes it's the responsibility of the TII. A councillor really, in this instance, can only do what you're doing, Alec, and say, can you look at this? Can you do this? They don't really have the powers to make it happen. But I understand your frustration.
They're personally reliant to the council.
That's true. I will accept that is true. Okay, Alec, thank you for your time. Raymond McDade is a garage provider in St Johnstone. Raymond, thanks for chatting to me. I do appreciate it. I wish it was under any other circumstances. Your business very close to the scene of many of these collisions that have been witnessed in the area.
Yes, Greg, how you doing? Yeah, we're only about 75 metres away from the accidents which happen regular up there, Gregory, yeah.
So, in other words, even ones that we don't hear about but aren't reported, you would probably get the call out to go in and move a yoke or pull it out of the ditch or whatever it might be.
Usually what happens, Greg, when they go around that corner there's a high curb, they clip the curb, they either hit the church wall or they go into the hedge on the far side. Luckily, maybe we be up there maybe 15, 16, 18 times a year with a fork truck lift the car out of the ditch or lift it out of the wall,
And that is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But the guards aren't always on scene because they're not always required to be on scene. So we don't really have a full sense of we're getting more of an insight into how dangerous that is from you than we might from the guards, put it like that.
Yeah. No, hey, it's a regular occurrence and it would be very simplified, to be very simple sorted. It's either take a bit of the ditch, a far ditch away, for when a lorry comes round there and it meets a car, so the lorry's holding in and the car pulls in and it clips the curb and that's what happens, then the car slides down the road. Now this is, unfortunately, this fatal accident has happened, which is probably going to highlight the thing now. But it shouldn't have went to this stage, it should have been sorted. I'm here 55 years in business and, I end up with the cars in the yard here, they take the cars and get them fixed. But this is a regular occurrence and I haven't seen any councillors or anybody else come onto this yard to me to say, Raymond, what could we do about this, or what should be done about this? And I would be speaking to guards regularly as well. Sometimes when we lift the guards might be there,
Yeah.
But there is still nothing been done, and it would be very simple. It would be very simple sorted. It wouldn't take a real big money cost to do it.
What needs doing for a man who's been there all his life and in business all his life and have chatting, 12 to 18 times a year you're going on site here. What's actually happening? Is it that the traffic is too quick and it clips that curb, or is the curb too pronounced? Or what needs, in your expert opinion, and I'm going to call it an expert opinion, what needs doing, Raymond?
Well, it's really not speed all the time. It's just probably maybe careless driving, maybe, or they just come into the corner maybe 30, 40 miles an hour, Greg. The road could be wet, and they clip the curb, and the car just spins around when they clip the curb. That's exactly what happens all the time. And they need to take a wee bit off the other side of the road, to give lorries meeting cars, give them a bit of room, and gives the cars a bit of room when they're meeting one another. And it's not really speed because there's a ramp further up the road there, maybe 150 metres, which slows the traffic coming into the town,
Right. This is a busy stretch.
On the other side of the town, the Carrigan.
Right, this is a busy stretch too. It's not just local traffic. People travelling from Strabane to Derry or vice versa might use this road too, right?
Well, that's what's happening. The Derry, Strabane, people will be using this road regular because the road over on the far side there, going into Derry, via new buildings there, it is very busy in the mornings there. So this road will be very busy in the mornings and the evenings.
Okay.
And especially, they need to do something with the traffic coming in via Carrigan's into St. Johnson because, if you're coming out of the shop there, coming across the road there, with the car falling out there, you have the car out, the next thing this car's coming speeding up from the Carrigan's there and go through St. Johnson, so need a couple of ramps would sort the thing out on it in the meantime, but it could still save lives.
Yeah, and we see ramps elsewhere. Why not here? That's what I don't.
Well, we're the forgotten town here, Greg. We seem to be bypassed by councillors and everybody else.
Yeah,
I hear them on the radio there all the time. To you there, but their places needs money spent, and towns and villages needs money spent. But this is definitely a safety thing would need to be sorted.
Yeah, and I heard the same from Alec as well too. That is a sense in the area definitely from both you and he, and both of you have been around for a long time, and both of you very interested in safety in the area too. So I trust what you're saying. Raymond, just say that one more time, just to be clear. In relation to this curb, this corner, you've got the garage there 75 metres out of the way. You're on scene at least once a month anyway.
At least once a month, Craig, at least. And, to be fair, this is the most fatal accident I have seen here. I've seen accidents maybe where they go in ambulances, but this is the most fatal one now. And, you know, these people were just very, very, you know, a second might have made a difference, or 2 seconds, but that wasn't the case.
Okay. Raymond, thank you for your time. That's Raymond McDade, a garage owner there in St. Johnston. And thanks to Alec and Donna Marie as well. A caller says another very dangerous spot is driving in past the Aura from Glen Swilly side. The pavement is so narrow. I was driving in last week and there was a lady walking on the pavement swinging her arms. I actually had to stop as I was meeting a car, and if I had driven on, I would have hit her arm. The road is just not wide enough for 2 cars. She was happy as Larry with earphones in and totally oblivious to the fact that her swinging arms was directly in front of oncoming cars. I'm not saying it's the case in the stretch of road that you're talking of, but certainly one of the ways to slow down traffic is narrow roads. So as I say, sometimes it's by accident, sometimes it is by design. Maybe they might argue that you having to slow down like that, is the road functioning as it should? I don't know. If you've any more comments from the St. Johnston area, please get in touch with us, or any area from that for that matter. And just to give you the contact details one more time.
The Greg Hughes Show on Highland Radio. Text WhatsApp 086 60 25000. Call 074 91 25000 or email comments at highlandradio.com.
Are you worried about trees on your property? Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet are fully insured and have over 40 years experience in dangerous tree removal, tree felling, surgery and stump grinding. For peace of mind, call Northwest Forest Services Ballybuffet for a no obligation quotation on 913233. Hegarty's Home Interiors Buncrana, the biggest direct importer of sofas, beds, mattresses and flooring in the Northwest. Best in stock deals on selected sofas and corner sofas. Best in stock deals on gas lift beds. Best in stock on mattresses. Best in stock deals on laminate flooring, semi-solid flooring and carpets. Full fitting service on carpets and wood flooring. With a free delivery service throughout the Northwest, including all of Northern Ireland. Hegarty's Home Interiors Buncrana. Always lower prices.
From the morning routines to cosy family moments, Grant has been bringing comfort to homes for over 45 years. With our biofuel-compatible condensing boilers, heat pumps and underfloor heating, you can trust Grant to heat your home now and into the future. Think heating, think Grant. Visit grant.ie.
Choose life. Choose fun. Choose not sitting at home getting bored. Choose something better. Something really fun. Choose Fundamania. Coming to the Brunswick Movie Bowl from February 28th. Choose regular, junior or family wristbands and enjoy some of Europe's top thrill rides. Choose fun for all ages. The legendary Fundamania event until March 22nd. For times and tickets, see fundamania.co.uk.
Looking for a car you can count on? Drive away in a brand new 261 Suzuki from Barry Brown Cars, Ireland's #1 Suzuki dealer. With 0% finance, a 10-year warranty and Suzuki's trusted reliability, you'll drive away with total confidence. Visit Barry Brown Cars in Milford or Donegal Town and enjoy 10 years of worry-free motoring.
Great special offers this weekend at Meehan's over Foe. Men's jeans now half price, only €25. Men's shirts 25% off, with selected polos and hoodies 20% off. Ladies jeans only €29. And there's 20% off selected ladies diesel and rant and rave fleeces. This weekend at Meehan's over Foe.
Good morning, Greg, says the listener. Huge thanks to Jamie for telling his story to help others. He's a rock star patient ambassador, and we are so lucky to have him in our community. Carmel Doyle, CEO of the OCF, he had esophagus cancer, effectively, just a young lad in his early 30s, and was speaking on the show yesterday, and that's where the podcast comes in handy. I know you can't listen every day, but the podcast has been made really easy for you to listen to. It's on our website, highlandradio.com. And it's also on Spotify and iTunes. And you can just get the full episode in one episode. There's not parts. It's there for you. And we have a sister podcast as well. It's the Greg Hughes podcast. And we've got 8 or 9 episodes up there right now. A little later on, if we have time, we're going to play you a clip from one of our latest uploads. We haven't got it up yet, but we will later today. And it's in relation to eating disorders. And I'm speaking to a young man again, Connor. And you don't know necessarily, and this is wrong, but you don't necessarily associate eating disorders with young people, young men, really, I don't think. In a lot of people's mind's eye, they might think it's more likely to affect females. But his is a very interesting story as well, especially if you've got young fellas in the house who are body conscious, or you're slightly concerned at how body conscious they are. Because Connor's eating disorder was triggered by being very athletic and being involved in sports and what have you. So I'll play a clip of that later if we have time, and the podcast will be available. It's a midweek bonus podcast, I think. I'll just get the okay from Caroline on that, which will be released today, I think, or tomorrow. But I'll let you know. I will let you know. Morning, Greg. What's the point in having county councillors getting big wages if they can't help the people? 2 lives lost, and now you'll hear the councillors on talking about how terrible it is. I think it's very important that we focus our... I don't want to sound preachy. It's up to you what way you want to think. But we have to understand the role of a councillor and what influence they have. They're not on big money either. They're not on insignificant money, but they can advocate. But there's certainly a sense in St Johnstone that maybe enough advocation... there was enough advocacy, and maybe local councillors might argue that, but we have to put the blame where the blame is as well. I think that's really important, because then we might get some results. A caller believes a lot of roads are not fit for heavy trucks and lorries using them. Why do they have to use minor roads? Another, every year the media and politicians in Donegal applaud the Donegal rally. They never acknowledge the influence the rally has on young people's driving. Young people see rally drivers training on public roads and the guards doing nothing. So it's no wonder young people drive so fast and so many lives are lost in Donegal. The rally is a lot to answer for, but no media will acknowledge this for fear of the rally organisers. Well, I'm not in fear of anyone. I'll be honest with you. The rally is the rally. The rally is run in an incredibly safe way. I don't know if testing's done on roads when it shouldn't be done. I think we don't want to confuse the rally, which is an organised sporting event, with what can go on in and around the rally that's outside the rally organiser's responsibility. And sometimes you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's not the rally's organisers' fault that there are people that come to the region and act like they do. That's law enforcement's responsibility, I would argue. Elaine Rooney is support manager North and Central Donegal with Family Carers Ireland and is with me on the programme now. Good morning to you. How are you keeping, Elaine?
Morning, Greg. How are you? I'm very well.
Right. Now, Family Carer Support Groups meeting is taking place in Donegal. Do you know what, before we get to that, what is the function of your organisation? You know, you talk about support manager. It might be interesting to get a sense of that.
Yeah, so Family Carers Ireland is the largest charity organisation working for family carers. Currently, we're supporting over 500,000 carers in Ireland. And we do a lot of work kind of around advocacy and just supports. We set up kind of groups where carers can come together. And we also have a lot of things in the background going on that carers can avail of if they reach out for support. So
there's all types of ways people can reach out for support, but are there a couple of obvious ones that come up time and again that keep your offices occupied?
Yeah, so I suppose there'd be a lot going on around rights and entitlements and appeals and kind of what's going on around that sort of stuff, you know. Sometimes carers kind of have a difficult time, you know, trying to get, you know, to know the lay of the land with their rights and entitlements. So we have a lot of workshops and stuff that kind of support them in that, and we do a lot of clinics kind of around that where people can come in one-on-one and can have a chat around kind of like what's happening for them and how we can help them. So sometimes it can be on the ground one-on-one support, and sometimes it can be signposting to other services that are able to support them.
Yeah, and I suppose we had this sort of carrot dangled of, and this political conversation about, you know, means testing of carers and what have you. That seems to have gone by the wayside now. We're not hearing much of that anymore.
Well, I wouldn't say it's gone by the wayside. The government have made a commitment that they are going to abolish that means test.
When's that going to happen, do they say?
2029. So it is happening on a phased basis. Like it is actually happening. They have rose the mean test this year. It's going up. So, yeah, I suppose there is a lot of stuff going on in the background. And it's kind of not really possible to do these things in one big bang because it just isn't, it just isn't feasible. But they are phasing it out. It is something that they are working on. And Family Carers Ireland have been heavily involved in kind of supporting that and getting that off the ground. So yeah, there has been a lot of work going on, kind of around that sort of stuff.
In terms of carers' rights and entitlements, which is another area of focus where you offer support and information, are there obvious ones that people may not be aware that they are entitled to or that sort of apply to them?
There probably is, Greg. That's a really hard question to answer because every care is different and the situation they're coming with is different, I suppose when you're talking about that, I suppose that leads me into that some stuff that I'm doing specifically in Donegal on the ground where carers could come along and find out stuff like that. So currently, I have a support group that's running in South Donegal. So I do that on the last Wednesday of every month. So it was on yesterday and it's going to be on again on the 25th of March. And it's in the Ballyshannon Library from 11:30 to 1. So in that in that group, really, it's a support group. So it's carers coming along and they can, talk and listen to each other and that there's a supportiveness to it. But there's also a little bit of time usually given at those, because I attend them all, where if there is something concerning, we can have a chat about it. And if it's a case where it's something where I can signpost them or support them there and then, I will.
I can understand why it's so difficult because there's so many variables, isn't there? Family situations, different people with different incomes in the property. Yeah. So I do understand that you can't there's no blanket response to that. And that's why the one-on-one clinics are so invaluable. So yesterday was the clinic in Ballyshannon. That's every month, you say. But also the one-on-one clinics in Buncrana, Letterkenny and Bundoran over the coming months. When you say one-on-one, do people have to book? Are they groups or are they different setups?
Ideally, because I want to be able to give the people the time, where they can have a slot. So ideally, I would like people to reach out and book with it. Obviously, I'm going to be there, and if they come along, but there is the risk then that they might have to wait or reschedule. So ideally, if they could reach out to me and book, I can give them a time slot, and it just gives them that one-on-one space where they know, okay, I have this hour with the support manager where we can discuss what's going on for me face to face. So yeah, I suppose they're running in Bundoran Library on the 6th of March. I have one coming up next week. There's one in Buncrana then in April on the 17th of April. In Letterkenny Library, we're doing one on the 1st of May, and the Bundoran Library again then the 8th of June. And I'm going to consistently roll them out all year. So
there's an event too actually in Dunlow Library as well coming up towards the end of March. Is that correct? Sorry, I thought that the support group meeting in Dunlow Library on the last Thursday of every month, beginning on the 26th of March. No,
that's not in the Dunlow Library. No,
okay.
So on the
right. Sorry, that's just information I've been given there.
So we've 2 new support groups that are starting, which are very exciting for the people of Donegal, and I've had great feedback of people wanting to attend. One is going to be in Dunlow, and it's starting on the 26th of March.
Okay,
that's in the CDP Rossin Centre, and it's going to be on from 10:30 to 12:30 on the last Thursday of every month. And so that's really exciting in Dunlow because we hadn't been up there for a while.
And Rafo as well.
And then in Rafo, in the Family Resource Centre, on the 2nd of April, we're running support groups there from 10:30 to 12:30, and they are also going to be every month. So they'll be running on the first Thursday of every month. So there's lots going on, and if people want to find out more, and because I know that I'm after giving an awful lot of information there, we are running an information session which people could log on to. And that will literally give a really good intensive rundown of what family carers is all about. And that's actually next Thursday, and it's online from 10:30 to 12:30. And on that day, people can hear all about the organisation, what we do, what we can do, and they can ask us questions on the day as well. And there's very much a lot of detail of what's going on in the county at that. So if they want to go to that, they can reach out to me by emailing me at erooney@familycarers.ie. And I will send them the link to that, and it would be great to see as many family carers jumping on that so we could kind of spread the word on the day.
Yeah, so just to be clear from my perspective, because I was kind of mixing up support groups and one-on-ones, there is a series of one-on-ones: Bundoran Library the 6th of March, Buncrana Library the 17th of April, Letterkenny Library the 1st of May, Bundoran Library 8th of June. And in terms of 2 new groups starting, the first in Dunlow on the 26th of March, and then the second in Rafo on the 2nd of April. And there's obviously ones down in the south of the county, Ballyshannon Library. That was yesterday, and then there's another one in the month. So there's a ton of stuff there. There's options to meet with other people in this caring space, support each other, converse, but there's also one-on-one opportunities, because obviously it's sometimes the inquiries can be so specific that might be useful. So if anyone wants any details on anything we've talked about there, including the online event that you talked of, is there one singular go-to place?
Yeah, so they can look on the website, www.familycares.ie, and there is a fountain of information on there. We have got a calendar of events that they can look at, and they'll see exactly what's coming up around the county and the country. There is a lot of online workshops that carers can avail of. And there's different groups and things that they can do from the comfort of their own home online, which is really nice, because when you're caring, sometimes it can be isolating. So
well, the irony too is you can't get respite to attend out-of-house stuff.
This is the difficulty,
Okay.
So, so it is. There's a lot of online supports there running, so it's really good.
Elaine, sorry, go ahead. Yep. You want to say one last thing?
They can always reach out to me, like I said, on my email address at erooney@familycares.ie. I'm always delighted to hear from people, and I can follow up on that anytime they reach out. So, thank you so much, Greg, for
Elaine,
your time.
Look after yourself. Thanks so much indeed for joining us. Back with more after the break.
Are you suffering from fatigue, burnout, or lack of energy? Discover Beyond Light Therapy, home to the first 60-unit energy enhancement system on the planet. We offer an experience to help you relax, recharge, and restore. Guests often leave feeling more energized, more focused and balanced. A mindful pause for athletes and professionals. Visit beyondlighttherapy.com and experience infinite potential. Book your session today.
Tired of tossing and turning? Upgrade your sleep for less during the big mattress sale, now on at Easy Living Furniture. Sink into incredible comfort with huge savings across our entire mattress range. Don't wait, better sleep starts now. Speak to our experts in store today to find the mattress of your dreams at unbeatable prices. The big mattress sale is now on at Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park, Derry, Londonderry.
Cabadella Héan, an bhean chéile ráwer. Cabadella Cuig, an bhean chéile nach leor riamhí. Cabadella De, ní mise an bhean chéile seo. Cabadell Fiche, an bhean hair.
Na scéalta is deachra a insint, is gá iad a insint. Cuirmí stop le forréigen bailí gnéasach agus inscna bhanathe a bheith mar chuid de scéal aon duine. Le haig takeíochta, túr cuairt gov.ie/stories. Teachtar do hún gníomhreacht de chuid rialtas na hÉireann.
Sometimes life can be a lot. Leave the world behind at Aquasana Forest Spa. Heal in the glow of volcanic mists. Reinvigorate your body in the ice cave. Feel boosted by hot spring bubbles. Feel yourself. Feel revitalized in the forest. Aquasana Forest Spa, just 90 minutes from Dublin. Book exclusively at aquasana.ie.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Looking for the perfect outfit for an upcoming event? We have new occasion wear styles arriving every week. Visit us in Ballybuffet or shop online at mcelhenneys.com.
So cloudy with rain again today from the west, becoming widespread through the morning. Isolated showers and bright spells will develop through the afternoon. Highest temperatures of 9 to 10 degrees, breezy with moderate fresh southerly winds, strong at times on the coast. So caller says, as tragic as recent events are, things need to be clarified. How many collision incidents have happened over what period? Who designated this road, and why has nothing been done about the black spot? Facts and stats speak volumes. Well, we heard from Raymond, who lives literally there, has his business there. He's talking 12 to 18 instances a year, and they obviously are going to vary in severity. What a really foolish thing to blame the rally. We seem to live in a world where you do not take responsibility, always blame someone or something else. Yeah, and I think I addressed that as well. And I do understand how sometimes we can sort of knee-jerk to the default. But, there's lots of variables that would point to the fact that that's not really an influence. And and as I said before, we really need to separate out a very professional, safe event that is run and of great benefit to the county, and a culture and members of that culture, that sort of rally culture that can arrive and don't even attend the rally. But it's got nothing to do with the rally. So I think it's important just we separate those things out. Greg, why don't you find out for certainty who has responsibility for making the bend at St Johnstone safer? You're saying that it might be local councillors, or it might be the TIA or something else. This is the exact type of ambiguity which lets organisations off the hook. The responsibility has to be left at some office's door. Let those with responsibility to step forward and expose them. Well, sorry, I beg your pardon. Sometimes I presume you would know. That's information that we clarify off air. And we contact the various agencies in responsible to that. It's a council regional road, and it is under the auspices of the council, and we have reached out to the council for a response. But what I'm saying to you is, when you start talking about and I was speaking more generally and not specifically about any particular section, when we start talking about road safety, like Duncanely for an example, then it starts getting chucked around from one department or another. I live in the village and heard the emergency services, but it's such a regular thing now. The wall around the cemetery is constantly knocked down and being rebuilt. The footpath in the area is so unsafe to use that the public won't use it. Traffic calming is absolutely needed, and that is the overriding message we're getting from listeners today in that area. So many councillors, engineers and Gardaí travel these roads. Does none of them ever think something needs to be done here? Another, sure, they're making and doing big wide footpaths now. What could drive a car on some of them? It's narrowing the roads and making it more dangerous. But again, and I'm not speaking to any specific area, well, Capria can, for an example, or even the 4 lanes in Letterkenny. The major roadworks there were designed to narrow the road to slow vehicles down, is my understanding. Just listening to you mention how much rents may increase very soon, and I honestly don't know how students, young teachers and young nurses will survive in Dublin and Galway. In fact, it will affect young people all over the country. This will lead to more emigration and probably mental health issues. There's more reasons now than ever for people to be chucked out of their homes, their homes, I call it their homes, but their rental properties or the properties that they are renting. Hardship, landlords in hardship. It's pretty easy to demonstrate if you wanted to. Regarding the changes on long-term rental, this will drive up rental prices. New contracts of a minimum term of 6 years. I think it's 2% it can go up per year. But anyway, new contracts of a minimum term of 6 years, driving landlords to sell. Small landlords are being persecuted by the government, charging them 50% tax on rental income, and then they take the majority of rights over their properties and give it to the tenants. Again, the decision makers have got it so wrong, they'll not help the long-term rental market, only have a major detrimental effect. But my understanding is you can increase 2% per year, and then after 6 years you can reset it to full market value. So it's still an attractive proposition. But if you're paying half of that in rent, you're obviously in the high income bracket, and rental isn't about paying your mortgage either. You're still getting a decent income, are you? I don't know. Let me know. 086 60 25,000.
Have you got your tickets yet? They're selling fast for the Highland Radio Birthday Bash, celebrating 36 years on air. Join us on Tuesday the 24th of March at the Mount Errigal Hotel for a fantastic night with Mike Denver, Jimmy Buckley, the Tumbling Paddies, Patrick Finney, Aoife Neal and David James, all on one stage. Tickets are available now from the Mount Errigal Hotel, online at highlandradio.com or call 07491 25,000 today. Don't miss the Highland Radio Birthday Bash. Grab your tickets while you still can.
Celebrate your special day at Jackson's Hotel in Ballybuffet, one of Donegal's most loved wedding venues. From elegant ballrooms to riverside views, every detail is crafted for your perfect day. Your love story deserves a magical setting. Make it unforgettable at Jackson's Hotel and let your dream day begin at jacksonshotel.ie.
Did you know that the Energy price freeze is still on? Join today to enjoy locked-in prices and save up to €1,011 a year on dual fuel. With monthly bill predictions, you'll always know what your bill will be ahead of time. With Energy, you just know.
Energy.
Price freeze until 1st of March 2026. Energy discount variable electricity rate EAB €1397. Discount variable gas rate €1117. For T's and C's rates and savings calculations, see unoenergy.ie. Suppliers pricings may change.
Here, would you look at Eco Enda? He's only after going and getting himself one of the new Skoda EVs.
First he went vegan, then he got solar panels, now this.
I'm sure he'd buy anything as long as he can get a grant for it.
Must be from that county beside Monaghan.
The new fully electric Skoda range. The kind of cars that get the neighbours talking. But only if you're quick. Check availability at skoda.ie. Skoda, let's explore.
Skoda. Your local Skoda dealer is DMG Motors, Clar Road, Donegal Town. Telephone 074 9721396.
McGowan Hearing, one of the longest established audiologists in the Northwest, now have weekly clinics in Letterkenny, Buncrana and Carndonna. Book your free hearing aid consultation at one of these clinics or with audiologist Darren McGowan in your own home. Call 07191 00208 or visit mcgowanhearing.com.
Are you a tenant or landlord? You need to be aware that rental laws are changing to give tenants stronger protections and provide certainty for landlords. For new tenancies from March 1st, 2026, most tenants will benefit from a minimum 6-year tenancy. Under a new national system of rent control, there are limits on how much rent can increase and when. For existing tenancies, nothing changes until a new tenancy begins. Find out more about the phased introduction of these changes at rtb.ie. From the Residential Tenancies Board.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the news desk. The Housing Minister has signed off on legislation allowing for retrospective payments to be made to defective block homeowners and also facilitating the reimbursement up to the new maximum cap. It follows the passing of recent legislation. In a Dáil response to Deputy Padraig McLaughlin this morning, Minister James Brown confirmed the bill was passed and signed by the President in December, and he then signed the commencement order giving effect to its provisions last evening. Qualifying homeowners can now apply to Donegal County Council or their designated local authority to have a new remediation option grant amount determined. An online petition has been launched calling for the provision of new signage and speed ramps on the R236 into St Johnstone. The petition organiser, Donna Marie Reynolds, says the road has been a serious concern due to numerous collisions, the most recent being Tuesday night's double tragedy in which two 19-year-old men from Derry lost their lives. She says this stretch of road, particularly the bend just before the petrol station, poses serious safety risks that need immediate attention for the sake of all who use it. On today's Greg Hughes Show, local garage owner Eamon McDade said he is called to clear vehicles from the ditch there at least once a month.
It's a regular occurrence. So to be very simple sorted, you either take a bit of the ditch, a far ditch away, for when a lorry comes round there and it meets a car, the lorry's holding in and the car pulls on and it clips the curb, and that's what happens, then the car slides down the road. Unfortunately, this fatal accident has happened, which is probably going to highlight the thing now. A couple of ramps would sort the thing out on it in the meantime, but that could still save lives.
68% of respondents to a new poll believe that West Derry, West Tyrone and Donegal should be classed as a new economic region. The research conducted by Lucid Talk was released by community relations charity Hollywell Trust. Respondents from the Northwest also supported further integration in the region on issues such as health and transport. Local councillor Jack Murray believes the findings make perfect sense.
Yeah, well, I think what this poll has told us really what we already know, that for those of us that live in the northwest of Ireland, Donegal, Tyrone, Derry, the border is merely a line on a map. For us, it's our lived reality. No more cross-border region in Ireland has as much movement over and back for employment, for social purposes, for shopping. So to me, it makes perfect sense that we'd be treated as one economic region.
A man in Scotland is the second person to be arrested on suspicion of the murder of Lisa Dorian. It follows the arrest of a woman yesterday in Bangor. Lisa Dorian disappeared 21 years ago. She was last seen alive at a party in a caravan park at Ballyhalbert. Her body has never been found. The Junior Sports Minister is again at odds with his senior minister over the attitude to punishing League of Ireland clubs for their actions of fans. On Friday last, a flare damaged a new AstroTurf surface at Dundalk's Oriel Park. Minister Patrick O'Donovan suggested a collective punishment of pausing AstroTurf funding for all clubs because of this. Minister Charlie McConalogue again says this won't work and only those responsible should be punished.
We'll make sure that those who are responsible are the ones that pay the price here, and indeed that those who act responsibly are not affected by the actions of idiots and acting totally irresponsibly and putting everybody else's safety in danger.
Children's Minister Norma Foley says the state will begin building new childcare facilities next year. Minister Foley says her department will buy property to house state-led childcare facilities in this year, but will state buildings of early learning facilities will start in 2027. Cabinet signed off on a new €135 million plan for state-led childcare services last month. Minister Foley says the state has to step in to provide childcare centres.
Well, in the first instance in 26 we are seeking to purchase buildings. We're seeking in 27, most likely 28, to build the buildings. We're not in competition here. The purpose here is to step in where no one else has stepped in. And that's the key motivator here. Where there's an absence of places, the state steps in.
And third level institutions north of the border are facing a group legal action over cancelled lectures during COVID. It's being taken by Phoenix Law on behalf of students whose experiences at NI universities were significantly disrupted during the pandemic. The students had paid their full tuition fees and expected the full university experience of in-person teaching and access to campus facilities. The action for compensation is being taken on the grounds of breach of contract, consumer rights violations and damage for loss of educational experience. Weather forecast: cloudy with rain from the west becoming widespread through the morning, isolated showers and brighter spells developing in the afternoon. Top temperatures 9 to 10 degrees Celsius, breezy with moderate to fresh southerly winds, strong at times on the coast. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news headlines again at 11 o'clock. Check all the day's news on highlandradio.com. Until then, from the news team, good morning.
The obituary notices for this Thursday morning, February the 26th. The death has occurred of Frankie Blaney, Killow the Grange, County Dublin, and formerly of Wolftone Place, Letterkenny. Reposing at his home on Sunday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Funeral on Monday in the Church of the Holy Family, Kill Avenue, arriving at 10:45 a.m. for 11 a.m. Mass, followed by private cremation. Family flowers only, please. Donations, if desired, to the Society of St. Vincent de Paul. The death has taken place of Patricia McGarvey, née Gallagher, White Lass, Remelton, reposing at her home today until 10 p.m. Requiem Mass tomorrow at 11 a.m. in St. Mary's Church, Remelton. Burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Family time on the morning of the funeral. Family flowers only, donations if desired to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member. The death has occurred of Kathleen McKeague, 1 Ashlon, Letterkenny, formerly Torhead, County Antrim. House private, please. Requiem Mass at 1 p.m. today at Church of the Irish Martyrs, Ballyrain, Letterkenny. Requiem Mass can be viewed online at the Church of the Irish Martyrs YouTube channel. Burial afterwards in the family plot at Conwall Cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Donations, if wished, to the Church of the Irish Martyrs Fund, care of Pascal Blake, Funeral Director. The death has taken place of Paddy Deeney, Dromore, Letterkenny. Funeral from his home this morning at 10:15, going to the Church of the Irish Martyrs, Letterkenny, for 11 a.m. Requiem Mass, followed by interment in St. Columba's Church Cemetery, Dromahall. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu of flowers, if desired, to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Discover Centra Simple Savers, your go-to for great everyday value. Like Centra Fresh Irish Whole Chicken 1.8 kilo, only €6. Kyo's Crisps Sharing Bag Selected Range, only €2 each. And Nescafe Gold Blend Jar 95 gram, only €4. Enjoy simple prices on all your favourites. Centra. Live every day.
Where your opinion matters. The Greg Hughes Show on Highland Radio.
Hi Greg, I drive for a living covering all of Donegal, says the listener. The amount of people on the phone is a pandemic. Every third or fourth car or lorry or bus driver, men and women, all ages. Not one thing is done about this, but if you're 3 kilometres an hour over the limit, you'll get 3 penalty points in the post. And as for lights, most people drive early in the morning or at dusk with the small side lights on, thinking that this is enough. They need dipped headlights on at least at all times. That comes in from G in his own. Thank you for that. The thing about the lights, a lot of the cars too have daytime driving lights, and I know someone really quite close to me who doesn't use them, even though they're there and they'll come on automatically. I want to go now to James Fleming, Treasurer of St. Johnstone Presbyterian Church. James, thank you for joining me this morning.
No problem, Greg. It's good to be on. Thank you.
Yeah, and indeed,
it is sad affair, but.
And as I said in the first hour, James, there never feels a right time to talk about this, but there is so much feeling in the St. Johnstone area that, you know, there's dangers here that need to be addressed. And you feel strongly about this too, don't you?
Well, yes, it has been. And I was listening to Raymond McDade there earlier on. He's perfectly correct. But everything he said was 100%. It's been 50 years since the original bend was to be straightened out. And, well, we all know 50 years ago things in Donegal, or the planning systems in Donegal are a lot different today, but things didn't happen in St. Johnstone. That bend was to be straightened out. I know because we sold land because of it just further on up. But anyway, that's beside the point now. The bend is there. The church owns that wall that has been rebuilt in its entirety 3 times in the last 9 years. It's been built. It's been fixed a few times since that as well. And it was unfortunate this car clipped the curb, which was fixed about 10 years ago, and the council did a good job, but unfortunately it raised the curb so that the tyres do touch, and then the car then can either hit our wall. Sometimes it stops and goes through the wall, which is unfortunate for them, but on this occasion it seems to have pushed the car into the oncoming traffic.
James,
but it has been.
You have, as a community, have been fearing something like this. In other words, when you get collisions of a certain seriousness on so many different occasions, inevitably your mind will turn to it's only a matter of time until we're talking about something way more serious. And unfortunately, that appears to have happened. But the original part of that question, James, is you were expecting this, as tragic as it is. It was inevitable.
Oh yes, this was brought home during COVID, and both my wife and I walked that road on a continual basis because it's only a kilometre from our house. So we walked down there and we stopped doing it. It was just so dangerous. We were afraid that we would get in between a car and the wall. And even the church, and the wall has been there since 1824, and we used to use, that was our main entrance, that particular wall was our main entrance. And that was stopped many years ago because it was just so dangerous. We also moved the entrance to the minister's house about 40 years ago. That was moved 100 metres down towards the town itself because it was proven to be Russian roulette for the minister or any guests going into that, into either of the entrances. We stopped using the main entrance for the church, and we had to move the entrance for the minister's house 100 metres. Oh, that's 40 years ago. The sign then was the sign for the church itself was on that corner. And the committee, in their day, which is about 30 to 40 years ago, we even felt then that any distraction at all for a driver should be taken out. And we moved the sign and moved it back in towards the church building itself, so it wouldn't be a distraction. Now, we own the field on the other side as well as and we are continually fixing it. Now, some very decent people have come and give us a subscription to fixing the wall and the hedges, so it's not completely on our out of our account, but it's still far too dangerous. The council have done, and the people that look after the roads, who are very good, they put up signs, they do everything that they can, except, and Raymond is quite correct, 2 ramps on either side of it would be that's all it'll take. Whether they widen the road or not, that's for another day's work. But the 2 ramps on either side of it, either 50 or 100 metres, or somebody smarter than us will be able to tell us that we have plenty of ramps in St Johnson. Some of them are in the wrong place, some of them are serving no purpose, but they're there. They're in Carrigan's, they're in Newton Cunningham, and I go through Newton Cunningham regularly, and there is no speeding going through that town. Go through Carrigan's, you know that you're going to meet that ramp at the Garda barracks. So it is such a simple solution, and has been forwarded to councillors, who I do not blame, because I know, and you're quite correct, the councillors are only there to provide a service, but the road service, and it's many years, and I heard Mary Crossan saying about the traffic lights and the ramps were to be there many years ago. But maybe we're not in the centre of the universe, but we still feel that we have an obligation to the
community
public and to people that don't know the road.
On a morning like this, does the community feel let down, James? Is that the emotion?
Well, we've just felt forgotten. We don't, they do come and they fix the potholes and they do this, that, and the other, and but this is a serious piece of speed, and it's only speed. That's all. It's nothing else. That's you feel really. I mean, we're talking about 80. It's supposed to be a 30 mile or 50 kilometres an hour. I'm scared to think what speed they go past there. I'm old enough now to remember, and we all know how young people act. I was once, and your reputation goes before you. But you do slow down. But at the same time, that is a very serious piece of road, and it would be, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, 2 ramps on either side would slow it down so much that it would save those lives. And I really feel for those people, those 3 families that are suffering here now at the moment.
And James, and I hope you understand, I will say, there's never a good time to talk about road safety, but this has been on the agenda locally for so long, we can't ignore it. And it's not to be in any way insensitive, but I also want to say there is an ongoing investigation as to what may have caused this collision or may have contributed to it, and much of our conversation is about what we have known from the past, and of course we'll let that investigation play out its course, but we cannot ignore local voices, local people who know exactly what's going on, and that sense that we've been telling you about this corner, we want ramps, and we feel forgotten, and that's what's so important about today, to have that conversation too.
Yep, it's the experience of Newton Cunningham, even the one in Carrigan's, and the ramps we all know where they're Calais. We might curse them because they're quite sharp.
Can I say in relation to that,
they slow us all down.
There was a ramp put in Downings just at the entrance to the beach car park. Theoretically, if there was a vote, would I have voted for it to be put in there? Because I use that road quite a bit. No. in retrospect, can I see how it works? Of course, because everybody has to slow down to a crawl at a very busy junction where families are crossing and walking and pulling in and out. So, as you're quite right, James, they're not necessarily popular, but they're very, very effective. And, sometimes safety has to trump convenience.
Absolutely. There's no question about this. It's, I remember not that long ago, there was a lady, a neighbour of mine, that had parked on the other side of the town. She was in the shop getting something, and she had to cross the road. And a couple of us had to go out and stop the traffic and we had to be careful to let her get across to get to her car. And that was you really don't know until you see the speed that why there isn't more accidents. And I know because I'm a neighbour of Raymond's, and I see his forklift going up to, and we own the ground, and the cars even ended up in a chap's garden recently. Went through the field entrance and into his garden. Now, he's only building the house at the moment, but it's I'll not say it's not a comedy at all.
No, but I mean, of course, I know what you're saying, and he's thinking, like, unless something's done, is this going to be in my, can I actually use that garden safely? No, I get exactly where you're coming from, James. Thanks for so clearly and eloquently explaining the situation to us, James, and I'm expressing that too to our other guests a little earlier on. What's clear is what the problem is. You've talked about it. We've talked about it on this show. It's the signs have been there for generations, literally generations, and something it seems needs to be done now. James Fleming, thank you for your time. He's treasurer of St. Johnston Presbyterian Church.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Thursday, February 26th, Jackpot Day. Playing for the jackpot prize of €14,000 on the pink sheet. The reference number is S4. It's week number 9. The jackpot number is 29. This number can come out in any position from the next 10 numbers drawn. Today's numbers are 48, 54, 9, 6, 83, 38, 65, 21, 64 and 61. Phone your claim to 9104833 before midnight tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
A laptop with great power, brilliant performance and premium sound, all for just €429. At Ben Sweeney Euronics, get the refurbished HP Elite Book laptop with Windows 11, 32 gigs of RAM and 512 gigabytes of storage. Enjoy a crisp screen display and Bang & Olufsen audio for crystal clear sound. Perfect for work, study or play. All for just €429 with a 3-year warranty, only at Ben Sweeney Euronics, Port Road, Letterkenny and the shopping centre Dunlow.
New Nissan, new deal, new you. Get a €4,000 finance contribution or trade-in booster at iMotors. It's simple. If your car is worth €26,000, with Nissan 4K, it's now worth €30,000. The 261 Nissan is ready for immediate delivery. Don't wait, don't settle. Visit imotors.ie. Terms and conditions apply.
iMotors, fearless generation.
Is your couch older than your Spotify playlist? Is your dining table wobblier than your uncle at a wedding? If so, it's time for an upgrade at Grove Furnishings, Kiltoy Road, Letterkenny, the largest furniture store in the Northwest. From stylish sofas to elegant beds, from floor covering to occasional pieces, we've got you covered. And we offer free delivery within 80 kilometres. Grove Furnishings. Seriously good furniture.
Hi, Jean Kern here to let you know that our next Highland Radio Book Club choice is Roisin O'Donnell's Nesting, winner of the An Post Irish Book Awards Novel of the Year 2025, and long listed for the Women's Prize for Fiction 2025, it's a heart-stopping novel about an Irish woman trying to leave her controlling husband and start again with her children, but with little money, no job and amid a housing crisis. Tina Gowrie and myself will review the book on my show on Sunday the 22nd of March. If you'd like to take part in any review, email me, jeancurran@highlandradio.com.
So we've 2 episodes of the Greg Hughes podcast going live on our website, Spotify and iTunes this week. We've got one going up this evening and one tomorrow. The tomorrow one's really interesting. They're both actually really interesting, but you might remember the 90s band D-Ream. Well, the lead singer of that band, originally from Derry, but now living in Fawn, he's got a really interesting story, not about his career but also about how he made contact with his maternal parents, because he was born in a mother and baby's home, and he's celebrating his 60th birthday soon. A very proud Derry man, and Derry's very proud of him. So we had a really good chat. I enjoyed all our chats because they're different types of conversations. But Peter Connor is our guest on Friday's edition of the Greg Hughes podcast. Now we have a bonus podcast going up today, and it's on the very serious issue of eating disorders, because they, of course, are a serious health condition that affect a person's body and their mind. They can cause upsetting thoughts and feelings about a person's body, food and weight. And the main types are anorexia, bulimia, binge eating disorder, and other specified feeding or eating disorder. That's kind of a umbrella conversation. And often there is this perception when we talk of eating disorders that it's anorexia or bulimia and that it might affect women. That's not the case. I'm just trying to break down some stereotypes here. So last evening I had a chat with Connor Nolan, who's eating disorder awareness campaigner, mental health speaker and author of Normal Speak to Me. And I might reiterate a bit of that into the introduction of this week's conversation. Okay, good morning, Connor Nolan, eating disorder awareness campaigner, mental health speaker and author of Normal. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Thanks a million.
Do you think, to some extent, we're breaking a notion listeners might have talking about eating disorders, talking to a male?
100%, yeah, because I suppose one thing is very important to know. Like eating disorders are more common in females. There's no doubt about that. But they're definitely more common. They're definitely more common in males than people realise. I think roughly, like in the case of, let's say, anorexia, 1 in 4 cases occur in a male. And then with something like, let's say, binge eating disorder, it occurs in males and females 50-50. So absolutely, there's definitely the frequency of occurrence in males versus the perceived occurrence is definitely very different. So yeah, and I think we're getting there in terms of educating people and as you say, yeah, breaking the mold there and changing that perception.
Yeah, exactly, because fellas, if I could put it like that, they might associate it with something else or say it's something else because they don't feel this is something that could affect a boy, or this is something I could speak about or get help about, and it can manifest itself in different ways. That's why it's important to talk, isn't it?
100%, yeah. The problem there, like if someone is in the frame of mind that this couldn't possibly happen to me, well then they're not going to look out for certain warning signs, or even worse so, if the warning signs do come along, they will ignore them and think, oh well, no, this must be something different, or this mustn't be too serious at all. So yeah, definitely understanding that it can, I suppose, as we often say, eating disorders don't discriminate. They can affect anyone, any gender, any age, or any stage in life. Very, very much so, yes.
The age 11, 12, very important to you as part of, this story of yours, this experience of yours. When do you believe, this actually began?
So that's a great question. I suppose in my case, I would have been diagnosed when I was 12, there, turning 13. But at that stage, it's in full flow. In my case with anorexia involves a lot of weight loss. Again, there are multiple eating disorders and each one's have different characteristics. But, by the time I was diagnosed, I had lost an awful lot of weight. The behaviours that led to that weight loss were in place long before that. And then even before the anorexic tendencies really began to kick in, there was little sort of things that I can see in hindsight that were very much leading towards the eating disorder. So I would say, maybe from the age of 10 onwards, the cogs were starting to move. The way I look at it is I was a very keen young athlete. I was a very keen footballer and all that kind of stuff. And I would have trained hard for the purpose of, getting better on the pitch. And then slowly but surely, the focus started to move away from the on-pitch performance and more towards things like, the weighing scales and the food and looking in the mirror and so on. So I'd say going back as far as maybe the age of 10, things were starting to go on the turn a bit, 100%.
So then the sport and activity we're involved in would this have manifested itself if you hadn't been involved in sport, or are you of the view that it would have found its way to the surface one way or other?
Well, it's a great question, and I suppose one thing, in a lot of cases, people who develop an eating disorder, may be athletes, and with some eating disorders, there is that element that over-exercise or exercising quite strenuously is one of the components. Now, one thing that's interesting, like especially given the age that I developed this at, a very common thing with an eating disorder is that a period of change can very much cause havoc. So, at the age of 11, 12, 13, you have that transition from primary into secondary school. And that can very much trigger an eating disorder into full bloom, because there's a huge element with an eating disorder of control. And when there's a feeling of a loss of control in someone's life, they can sort of try and refine this control with their food and with their exercise as kind of a coping mechanism. The question of whether it would have happened, if I hadn't been playing a sport is a good question. Personally, I think, if it was going to play out, it probably would have found a way to do so. The way I look at it is, because I had a love for sport and a love for training and that kind of stuff, the eating disorder had something to take, and then I suppose you can nearly say in some case kind of turn against me. But definitely there are cases where people develop an eating disorder, and they mightn't be athletes at all. So I'm not exactly sure. I think it might have played out regardless. I think so.
So if you could just maybe help us, if you can, to get inside the mind of 11, 12, 13-year-olds. So if you're very active, the perception would be from others that you're in good shape, right? That you're toned, or you're lean, or your body mass index is low. You obviously don't feel that way in yourself. So when you look into the mirror, if you did, and whether that's literally or metaphorically, what do you see? Is it a comparison to others? Is it quite literally, you see something that others don't see? Just so we maybe can tap into what might be going on in houses that might help, if you get where I'm coming from.
100%, yeah. So one of the, I suppose, components, when you think about the case of anorexia, there's a term called body dysmorphia. So body dysmorphia is when someone has a sort of a very negative perception of their appearance. They're very much caught in this idea of, they're unhappy with the way they look, and that feeling can cause them to almost go out of their way to find flaws, right? And now when I say flaws, I would say flaws in inverted commas, flaws that might as well be unnoticeable to the naked eye of the observer. And this sort of nitpicking approach is coming along due to the thoughts and feelings underneath. And so so what can happen in the case of anorexia is they very much cannot see their body clearly. They're not seeing themselves through an accurate lens. It's kind of like a broken lens in some case. So I always give the example of, with anorexia, for example, if someone is beginning to lose weight, they've lost a noticeable amount of weight, friends or family might communicate that or might voice their concerns. And the person with anorexia, and as I did in my case, they might deny that there's a problem. Partially because, number one, they see the eating disorder as a coping mechanism, but also number two, because when they look in the mirror, they don't see themselves as being any smaller than they were before. And that was definitely the case in my case. When I look back, now as I'm recovered, when I look back at photos of myself from when I was at my lowest weight, I can see that I was terribly underweight, very low BMI. I think emaciated would be the medical term. But when I was in that moment, literally, when I looked in the mirror, I wasn't seeing that. I wouldn't say I saw myself as being overweight, but I definitely saw myself as being a lot bigger than I actually was. So yes, there is that kind of flawed perception, and that can feed into this thing of, oh, well, I'm not seeing what everyone else is seeing, so it mustn't be true. So I have to keep going. I have to keep restricting. I have to keep losing weight. So 100%, a big part of the recovery is repairing that perception of your body image. It's beginning to see yourself clearly. And then, in my case, becoming okay with the fact that you have to regain the weight for the sake of your health. And one thing I find particularly notable is, I was in counselling for a year in this recovery process, and how I looked at myself in the mirror, at the start of that year and at the end was night and day. To be able to regain the weight and look in the mirror and be happy and not be, I suppose, not be judging yourself the way you were before. So yeah, absolutely, it's very much a distorted view that you have of oneself, 100%.
That was Conor Nolan there, and we wanted to do that interview, as I say, because there's a lot of pressure on people of all ages, but younger people too, and 9, 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old people can be very body conscious, and in some it can manifest itself into an eating disorder, and there are supports out there. So that full interview with Conor will be available a little later on. It'll be this evening, and it'll be available on our website in the listen back section as part of the Greg Hughes podcast series. Also, it'll populate on Spotify and iTunes as well, just in case it's of interest to you and you want to hear a little more. We'll be back with our next guest on the programme after we take a break.
Why leave the magic moments and great scenes you've captured sitting on your phone when you can have them printed at McGee's Chemist? Using McGee's website or one of their in-store kiosks, you just upload your photos, select the ones you want, and have them printed instantly within an hour, or use the 24-hour service. 35mm and film from disposable cameras also printed, and old photos can be digitally restored. Hold your memories in your hand with McGee's Chemist, Letterkenny.
The electorate for Shannon University elections has expanded. Thousands more graduates from higher education institutions across Ireland are now eligible to vote.
If you are an Irish citizen with a degree from an included institution, you can apply to be added to the register. The closing date is the 26th of February.
To find out more, please visit shannonvoter.ie. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Imagine your wedding at the foot of Errigal Mountain in the heart of Donegal's Gaeltacht. Anchorage Hotel in Gweedore offers elegant spaces, stunning views, and every detail planned for your perfect day. Celebrate your love surrounded by Donegal's breathtaking beauty. Your dream wedding awaits at anchoragehotel.com.
At Super Value this week, favourite wines from €7, like Montmar Reserva Sauvignon Blanc, with refreshing vibrant fruits from Chile, better than half price. And Grand Troya Cava Brut, a refreshing Spanish sparkler, also better than half price. Plus selected 12-pack beer bottles like Carlsberg from €15. Check your rewards app for vouchers. Super Value. Still super, now better value. Please drink responsibly.
Hi, I'm Padraig Harrington. Esophageal cancer is something I know all too well. My dad passed away from it. That's why I want you to know the symptoms. If you're struggling to swallow, have persistent heartburn, acid reflux, unexpected weight loss, or pain, don't ignore it. Talk to your GP. Catching it early can make all the difference. For Lollipop Day, let's spread the word. Visit lollipopday.ie to learn more, because early detection saves lives.
Reading an opinion piece, if you could call it that, I suppose you could actually, in the Irish Times, and it reads, the body of evidence in our oral health, or for our oral health, having a direct and indirect impact on our overall health is growing steadily. Far from being just a vital component of a nice smile, scientific research increasingly demonstrates that the health of our teeth is linked to the development of a wide range of health conditions. Show me a patient's mouth and I'll be able to tell you a lot about that patient's health systemically, because we know there's links between dental disease and a lot of different diseases. I have the pleasure now of speaking to Dr. Gerard Rorty, who's principal dentist in Gweedore Dental. Good morning, Gerard. And is that an opinion that you subscribe to?
Good morning, Greg. Yes, very much so. Periodontal disease or gum disease is a condition that's totally underestimated by Irish people. It has a major impact and it contributes to Alzheimer's, it contributes to heart attacks, it contributes to stroke. It results in adverse pregnancy results, causes kidney disease, respiratory disease, rheumatoid arthritis. And it's something, it's really, really true that when I look in someone's mouth, the state of their gums and the amount of periodontal disease used to be called pyorrhea. So it's basically inflammation of gums and a build of bacteria in the mouth. Very often then, I look at the medical history that we've taken before the patient comes in, and there's a correlation. But unfortunately, it's a disease that people just don't realise, how significant it is. And it's a disease that's becoming more and more important because people are holding on to their teeth, which is fantastic, but they're holding on to their teeth very often in a very unhealthy fashion. So Irish people in particular have very, very high levels of periodontal disease. So the various research shows that about 80% of Irish people over 35 have periodontal disease. So 80% of Irish people are going around with billions of bacteria in their mouth that will contribute to them ultimately getting Alzheimer's, heart attacks, strokes, dementia. And they just don't realise it. It's a disease that's very easily dealt with, very easily brought under control. And if you contrast the figures somewhere like America, where there's much, much less periodontal disease, because the Americans are much better at oral hygiene in general and attending their hygienist in general. You know, we very often think of the dentist and the dentist looking after your teeth, which is very important. But the dentist is only one part of the package. Your hygienist is the other leg of the stool.
Can I ask, and in a way, I suppose, well, I'll get to my second point in a moment. Do we know the relationship between the presence of periodontal disease and cardiovascular diseases, hypertension, diabetes, etc.? Like, which one follows the other, and why might... Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, there's really good published research showing the figures. I mean, you mentioned for a sake of cardiovascular disease. So having periodontal disease increases the chance of you having a heart attack or stroke by 1/3. So let's take a step back. 80% of Irish people over 35 have periodontal disease. So 80% of Irish people are going around with a condition that's very easily controlled that will increase their chances of heart attack or stroke by 1/3. You know, the science is very simple. When you have periodontal disease, you have billions of bacteria around the roots of your teeth, and you're challenging your immune system continually to manage that infection. So there's not only the localized damage that it's doing around the bone structure around your teeth, which will cause the teeth to loosen and ultimately fall out, but it's the fact that those bacteria, every time you eat, are spreading through your bloodstream and challenging your immune system. People are familiar who've ever had a hip or a knee done that the first thing that the orthopedic surgeon does is say to them, come back here with a letter from your dentist saying that you're dentally fit. And several times a week, I'll be presented with people and they'll give me that letter and I look at their mouth and I'll say, well, you've neglected your teeth to such an extent that you have such an extent of periodontal disease, you're not going to be able to get that hip done or not going to be able to get that knee done for several years because you're sailing about with an infection.
Right, so periodontal disease is more of a cause then than a sign?
Periodontal disease causes, exactly.
Okay,
But it also reflects, in other words, it's a good correlation between people's overall health. People, it's a contributory factor, as I said, to dementia, to Alzheimer's disease, to cardiovascular disease. It makes diabetes worse, chronic kidney disease. And the annoying thing, the sad thing about it, it's so easily controlled. So easily
I presume,
controlled.
too, you're also pulling resources. You're pulling defence resources from your body, constantly walking around with an infection.
Exactly. Greg, that's a lovely way of putting it. So that's exactly what's happening. So your immune system is continually battling and dealing with this, what they call a low-grade inflammation, a low-grade infection in your mouth at all times. And you're challenging your immune system. And going back to the knee or a hip, if you've got a knee or a hip, first of all, you're getting a general anaesthetic, you're going to get surgery done, and your immune system's been challenged, and you've got these bacteria who are sailing about in your bloodstream, and they're going to settle out in their knee or the hip. But they also do that throughout your bloodstream in general. So it's going back to the amount of infection. You know, what surprises me very often is people come into my surgery and they're immaculately groomed, and they're incredibly turned out, and absolutely their overall hygiene is absolutely incredible. And then you open your mouth and you just think to yourself, well, that person would not be coming in here with a lot of muck sitting on their hands or on their face, and they don't actually realise, you know, the amount of infection that they have.
We're not making the connection, and I think this is why this conversation's important.
We're not making...
Yeah.
We're not making the connection, and the big difference is lack of education. So go back to America, where it's very standard. You see your hygienist 20 years ingrained to American people, much less sense than periodontal disease. We as a people just are not aware of that. And the interesting thing is, you know,
But Jared, can I jump in there if you
Ireland.
don't mind? And I don't want to drag this into a national political conversation either. But you know, even to get our teeth screened now in school along the guidance or what we're supposed to be getting done, we almost have a policy that favours extraction over cleanliness and care and oversight. That's inevitably going to influence then what happens further down the line. It's almost like a dynamo. I don't want to put words in your mouth. Maybe you completely disagree with me.
Greg,
But
don't get me started, because you're absolutely right. So we're about, for example, to get a medical card contract on our practice in Gweedore. We'll have it in a month's time. In the contract, I can do unlimited extractions in Greg Hughes if you've got a medical card. So you come into me and you have a problem, I can say, Greg, no problem. I can take out as many teeth as you like and I get paid for that, which is fantastic. I'm limited in terms of what I can do for you for prevention. I can only give you one scale and polish per year. You need a minimum of 2. I'm only allowed to give you 2 fill-ins per year. We have incredibly hard-working dentists in the HSE, but they're massively under-resourced. We simply don't have the numbers. So we only do a screening for children in 6th class. Those children need to be seen as soon as their first permanent molars erupt, to have them what's known as Fisher sealed. That's a plastic coating put over their teeth that reduces the amount of decay by 80%.
Wow.
So anybody listening on the show this morning, if you have a child 7 or 8 years of age, get to your dentist, and your hygienist or dentist will put a Fisher sealant over them, because the HSE would love to be able to do that, but they simply don't have the dentist, they don't have the hygienist, and you're totally right. Everything is geared towards rendering our population what is known as edentulous, having no teeth.
Yeah.
So, Greg, you come into our dental practice, you have a medical card. Unfortunately, the policy of the Department of Health is I will get very well looked after to take out all your teeth and make you a set of dentures. I will not get paid to look after your teeth. And it's so sad, because this is, go back to the systemic implications of this. As you know, it's a penny that would be spent very, very wisely, because the impact in reducing, just think in coronary care. The fact, just by the government's paying for that little bit more for preventive and maintenance of people's periodontal disease. But unfortunately, it's something that the Department of Health, in terms of dentistry, have just made a decision that the system.
Well, I have a critical question to ask you in relation to this, because sometimes from the HSE, as good as it can be at times, there's a reluctance to accept medical evidence because of the tsunami that might follow. And I can think of a few conditions that are real and affect an awful lot of people and are kind of poo-pooed by the HSE. Does the HSE recognise the fact that periodontal disease can lead to some of the other conditions, such as cardiovascular diseases, etc., that we're talking of? Do they accept that is the case? And then in that knowledge... Go ahead.
Yeah, very much so. They do very much so. So the HSE, if you look at any of the HSE publications, they have excellent publications on oral hygiene, excellent publications on periodontal disease, excellent publications on gingivitis. So gingivitis is inflammation of the gums that leads on to periodontal disease. So the HSE, the dental people in the HSE, I know some of them, and they're absolutely fantastic. So no, you're talking about world-class people in terms of their medical knowledge. It goes back to politics. It's very simple that we're dealing with a political situation that goes back generations, where generations ago, you go back to the 1950s, we're dealing with, in oral health, politicians had a system whereby we were going to pay to have your teeth taken out, give you a set of dentures. The supreme irony of that, Greg, and this is the total irony, although you'll have an absolutely desperate quality of life, we're in dentures as opposed to having your own teeth. You don't get periodontal disease when you have dentures, because you've lost your teeth. So the ironic thing is the political thinking going back to the 1950s worked. The reality now is, thank God, people are holding on to their teeth.
Okay.
So we have a totally changed population.
But we need to look out for bad breath that sticks about. Your gums changing, if they swell, if they bleed. Does it bleed at any time or while brushing, Jared? And also receding gums.
Yeah, well, those are some of the markers, though, Greg. The interesting thing is those are only a very small percentage of people will have bad breath. Only a very small percentage of them will have bleeding gums.
And there's crossovers
We'll
over
pick
here,
it up
Jared.
in examination.
Yeah, I think there's crossovers of what it could be. And the real best way, and I must move on, Jared, but I really appreciate your time. Get your blooming teeth checked. That's the
Well, the big... Yeah, but I've realised as well that you're entitled under the medical card to have examination, scale and polish once a year, under PRSI to have examination, scale and polish once a year. So it's really just a matter of getting to the mindset of getting in and then attending your hygienist the second time during the year.
Jared, listen, lovely talking to you. Dr. Jared Rorty, Principal Dentist in Guido Dental. And there's a number of... now, dentists is medicine, don't get me wrong, and there's very clear indicators, as you've heard there from Jared. But it's interesting those who work in certain services, like hairdressers, for an example, and I've spoken to many hairdressers, not just the one, and often they will be able to spot an issue with a client because of the condition of the hair. Not that I or you could if you're not working in that area, but in terms of, anxieties or stresses, and not just say, for instance, alopecia or something like that, but I was speaking to hair care experts, and it's just the condition of the hair can be an indicator as well. Maybe if you work in hair, you'll be able to confirm that for me. But it goes to show, you look after your hair, you look after your teeth, and they can be indicators of perhaps maybe the early signs of something as well. That is completely new on me. I have never heard of this connection between periodontal disease, cardiovascular disease, etc. And I've been doing this job for quite some time. So every day, as they say, is a learning day.
Want to learn how to use your phone to connect with friends and family or book your next holiday? Why not try High Digital, a free online course designed by Vodafone Foundation. You can learn how to use WhatsApp, book trips at home and abroad, and find out how to recognise common scams. Try the online course at highdigital.ie. That's highdigital.ie. Or if you would prefer to learn in person, call 1800 20 30 30.
They say time equals money, so spend your money where you spend your time. No matter what your preference is, Cooney's Home Interiors has something to suit every taste and budget. With our extensive range of home furnishing to fit every room and style, from mattresses and beds to rugs, mirrors and suites of furniture. Visit us in store today and see for yourself what Cooney's have to offer, and let us help you make your dream home a reality. Cooney's Home Interiors, Letterkenny Retail Park. Huge range, great prices.
Innovation is defined in moments. With the all-electric Lexus RZ. From the streamlined silhouette to an interior of calm, every detail comes together to create amazing. Available with state-of-the-art one-motion grip steering, delivering intuitive control with every drive. Experience the all-electric RZ at your Lexus retailer. Lexus. Experience amazing.
Your local dealer is Lexus Letterkenny.
Fermanagh, where giant adventures flow. A land of lakes and forests where welcomes are always warm. Cruise the islands on a Lough Erne water taxi. Climb above the clouds at Kilka Lakeland's UNESCO Global Geopark. Taste local flavour in Enniskillen at the Firehouse. Then settle in at the Killyhevlin Lakeside Hotel, all nestled within Ireland's hidden heartlands. Book your Fermanagh short break now at discovernorthernireland.com.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Looking for the perfect outfit for an upcoming event? We have new occasion wear styles arriving every week. Visit us in Ballybuffet or shop online at mcelhenneys.com.
So, rain becoming widespread through this morning. Isolated showers and brighter spells will develop in the afternoon. Temperatures of 9 to 10 degrees. Now, our suite of podcasts for you growing all of the time, and it's about you choosing when you want to listen to things. We love having you listening live. 80-odd thousand of you do so every day. In fact, more than that, which is fantastic. But we also have lots of podcasts. Sport podcast, DL Debate, The Score, the podcast of this show, the Greg Hughes podcast, and in the world of business, the man at the helm, Chris Ashmore, presenter of our Business Matters podcast, and all those podcasts available for you in the listen back section on our website. Right, let's get some news. Enterprise Week.
Yes, a big week, more than 20 events going on all over the county, lots of different speakers, a great way to find out, there's things about AI is obviously going to be big this year. There's a lot of networking. Highland Radio is actually broadcasting live from the Made in Donegal Business Showcase. That's next Friday.
That's John Preston around the Northwest down there, I think.
I think Noel Cunningham's involved as well. And it's, yes, John's show will be there. And now this is particularly good. It celebrates the county's food and craft industries. And it really is a great day out. And it's just amazing what's going on throughout the county. So Enterprise Week, if you go to the local Enterprise Office website, you'll find all the details there. And it begins next Monday, runs through till Friday.
Our grid is mostly responsible for our electricity infrastructure. They've issued a warning.
Yes, they've issued a warning today of what they say is a potentially challenging situation in relation to meeting electricity demand over the next few years because of the big increase in data centres, also new homes, more people with electric cars, transport.
Data centres. No. 25% of our electricity goes to data centres. I'm not buying it's got anything to do with us. Sorry, our grid, although our grid over €600. But anyway, it's, yes, of course, electric cars, bish, bash, bomb, new connect. That maybe in regional areas that's an issue. But the bottom line is we've had our power effectively to the general population reduced by 25% because of data centres.
Now, they're saying our demand for electricity is forecast to grow by 19% between now and 2034. So obviously that means we need to have more power generation. And they have also revealed that the state currently, Greg, imports around 12% of its electricity needs from the UK, which is not insubstantial amount. So we're going to hear a lot more about this in the next few years. And, of course, it's going to accelerate the demand for more alternative green energy.
Yeah, but wait till you hear this. We're jamming an interconnector into Spain. The majority of their power is generated via solar. And we'll say, no, look, we've reached our targets. Look at the amount of green energy we're creating when we're actually importing it from Spain. Anyway, we'll come back to news, but I want to make sure that we give the podcast a good run. So if we have time at the end, we'll jump back into the news. On this week's Business Matters programme, Chris, what is the topic up for discussion?
Well, two items.
Two
topics this week. Greg, I've been looking at the International Women's Day is taking place next week. I've been speaking to Sally Murphy, who's president of the Donegal Business Women in Business Network. They have an event on next week in the Green Hotel in Burt. It's next Friday. It's called Built on Belief, which is the theme of Enterprise Week. Women building businesses in Donegal. They have a number of speakers there. And it all ties in with networking. And just here in Donegal, there's been a huge growth in membership of the Donegal Business Women in Business Network. And I think we have a clip here from Sally Murphy, its president.
Have a bit of faith, of course we do.
We are doing what we love to do, which is showcasing and celebrating Donegal women and giving them a stage to share the story of their business. And it's going to be a look at the highs and lows and a kind of behind the scenes perspective on what it really takes to build a business. And we will follow that up with networking, an opportunity for our visitors and our guests to connect with one another, to consider where they're at on their own business or entrepreneurial journey.
And your second guest, Chris?
Yes, it's Geraldine Byrne, who's the New Frontiers Programme Manager at ATU Letterkenny. And this is a programme, it's the first phase is starting up in April. So if you've got a good business idea, this can be the starting point and a platform to see if it has potential. And we can hear from Geraldine here.
If you have a germ of an idea and you really don't know where to start, the programme will go through various, I suppose, what you want to call topics, including, market research, defining what your value proposition is. Like, have you got something that people actually want to buy? And somebody mentioned to me recently, when I loved it, was a quote, is there a market in the gap? So rather than saying, is there a gap in the market, is the gap in the market big enough to make money for you as an entrepreneur or founder?
Okay, so a very interesting podcast coming up, and it's going to be available for you to listen in its entirety on our website very soon, and on Spotify. It has its own Spotify channel, Business Matters, and on iTunes as well. Chris, it's also broadcast after 6 on Sunday, isn't it?
That's correct. Yes, correct.
And if anyone wishes to get in contact with you,
it's businessmatters@highlandradio.com.